Hey guys, I just wanted to introduce this podcast with just like a short few things that I wanted to mention. The first thing is that because I have such high ping, for those of you that don't know, I have about 800 ping usually on RuneScape. I get like 600 and 900. Like that's all I'll play on, but I can get up to like 2,000 in specific worlds, so it's pretty crazy. Um, but on top of that, because I have satellite internet, it affects pretty much everything that I do on the internet. So that includes TeamSpeak. So whenever I'm talking to Charlie, there's about a 2 to 3 second delay from when I'm done talking to when Charlie finishes hearing me on the other side. So I don't know if you guys noticed last podcast, but basically there would be these empty spaces in between where I'm done talking and then Charlie starts talking, and that's because during that blank space, Charlie's on the other side listening to me finish up my thought or my statement or whatever, and he can't talk obviously until my statement is finished. So it gets really weird sometimes. But I found a solution for it, and that's basically just that just go through and edit out all of those blank spaces. It took a little bit of work, but it wasn't too bad, and I think it'll really, really improve the quality of the podcast. And because I don't really have an option on internet, that's pretty much the most that I can do to make it a quality podcast for you guys. So that's what I did, and then other than that. I just want to apologize for the last podcast because while it was like one of my first podcasts, um, the way I was kind of like talking, it was like really slow basically, and it just sounded really awkward. And it was just because I was tired. Like I, as you can see right now, like I can think and talk and pretty quickly. It's not a hard thing for me to do. But I was just pretty exhausted honestly on that day, so it probably wasn't the best day to do a podcast. And then I had listened back to it just to make sure everything's okay with it, and I didn't really notice it at all. So it got released like that because I wasn't really paying attention. But again, we can't always be perfect on like the first shot. Um, we'll keep improving the podcast for you guys, and I'll keep you know doing my best to make it a quality podcast for everybody. Other than that, if you guys have any other suggestions, like if you want me to have annotations to different parts of the video for different topics or stuff like that. So, say you don't want to hear me talk about sailing, then you can skip over that part with ease with an annotation. So, if you guys do want that, let me know, and I'll go ahead and do that for you guys. If you guys have any other suggestions, let me know, and I'll do it for you guys. It's not really a big deal to me if I have to work a little bit harder to make a quality video. It's just that as long as you guys are getting something out of it, then that's what's most important to me is that, the people that are watching my videos, that they are getting what they want out of the video and that it's most convenient to use for them. It's not necessarily about how much work I'm doing because, again, like when I'm doing this work, I'm like AFKing RuneScape basically. So I'm just kind of like doing it on the side, so it's not too big of a deal. Um, so just go ahead and leave suggestions below, and with that out of the way, we'll go ahead and get into the podcast. Hey guys, and welcome to another podcast with me and Charlie. Should we introduce ourselves again? Like, should we do that?
Not really, it's kind of stupid, but whatever. Know our voices by now.
It's been like one podcast. You're like, yes, these 20 subscribers know our voices by now. No one else will never have to know our voices. Anyways, okay, okay. So
Well,
the
if they're
first thing we're going to talk
subscribed
about
to you,
today,
they probably know your voice.
that's fair enough. They might. Anyways, okay, so we're here with the podcast today. We got a bunch of topics to go over. We're gonna go over the Inferno idea, the Dragon Warhammer release, some Reddit ideas that we saw that we thought were interesting, and then I took a few questions from the comment section of one of my videos because I asked you guys to send me some questions, and somebody did. So we'll go ahead and go over those in this podcast, and yeah, so let's go ahead and get into it. So the first one is we're going to talk about the Inferno, and it's basically the JAD 2. They fleshed it out a little bit more. They released a new dev blog, and they took away some things and they added some things, and I think it's overall a pretty good change. So let's firstly talk about how there's no more range or mage cape included in this new fight cave. What are your thoughts on that, Charlie?
I think it's good that they aren't lumping all the content into one broad way of getting it. It's nice to have more content, even if it does take them longer to develop.
Yeah, I completely agree. Like, I think it's awesome that they're gonna consider putting it in like the Tascal race, which is on Zaya, because like they had that idea and they were gonna completely scratch it, and it gives a lot more character, in my opinion, to Zaya. Like, it's there's lore that's gonna be revolved around that. Hopefully they don't skip out on it. I just think it's really awesome. It just adds a whole bunch of character to Zaya in the future when it does come.
So are you going to vote no on the Jad 2 and just wait for the new Fight Cave thing? Yeah.
No, I think if I'm not mistaken, on the dev blog, it states that they're gonna pull it and they're basically they're just gonna take feedback from the community on when they should release it and how they should release it. Unless I'd like misread something, because it was like the part at the end they were like, we're voting this in if you guys want it or whatever, and then you guys just let us know how you want it. So I don't know. It seemed kind of weird because I feel like the JMods clearly understand that the community doesn't want this update rushed. Like they would rather a really quality update for this. But at the same time, are they actually going to follow through with that? Like, are they going to put it on Zaya? Are they going to put it with the Taskal? I mean, the thing's name is Taskal Zuck, so I feel like they have to. But I'm not too sure about it. But I will. I mean, I'll vote yes under the premise that they will take their time on it, and it seems like they're going to, based on like community feedback.
Yeah, I feel like I thought they were going to say, like, if we voted on wanting it later, it'd come out with Zaya. It wouldn't come out with the new Jad thing that they're talking about.
Like, okay, at the end of it, it says we needed to know what you think is preferable out of the two options. Push it to get the Inferno out in mid-February with tweaked assets and overall lower standard of visuals, or push the Inferno back to next January to come with Zaya Batch 3, filling the open time in our schedule with massive amounts of quality of life jobs. So, wow, I didn't even realize it was next January. Holy shit, that's like a year away. Um, I think as far as I can tell, the community is completely for Zaya, like the new Inferno and all that to come out with Zaya, Zaya Batch 3 in January. Like that's what it seems like on Reddit and stuff. Like a lot of people would prefer like an engaging content rather than them just rushing it out for a February release. So I'm really hoping like that kind of scares me actually, because I don't know. It's kind of I don't know. It's hard to look at that because that's not a
Why?
poll question. That's not a poll question. That's just them saying, what should we do? We'll take feedback from you guys. But it's like, are they actually going to, or are they just gonna rush it out?
If they're asking us this question now, I'm pretty sure they aren't going to go against what we say. Like, if they wanted to just bring it out, they'd just bring it out. I feel like they
Yeah.
will listen to us.
Yeah, I hope so. I'm gonna vote yeah for it because again, I have no issue with it, and again, it seems like the community is completely for it coming out next January if it has to, so that's fine with me. Not only that, there's a lot of people on Reddit that are talking about like, because they basically said they're gonna fill the open time in their schedule with massive amounts of quality of life jobs, which is stuff like, for example, choosing your own monsters and nightmare zones, stuff like that, like basically fixing old content that's like broken. So I feel like the community
Yeah.
is more wanting a quality update, a huge, it's a big update. It's a quality update if they wait until January, and then at the same time we'll get all of these like other updates, quality of lives or fixing old content that's pretty broken and stuff like that. So yeah, I'll vote yeah for it because again, the community. I really hope they listen to the community. I really do.
You'll
It's
vote
either way,
yes?
but
What?
yeah, I'm gonna vote yeah, but I just hope that they listen to the community and wait on it. Do you know what I mean?
Isn't the question now or later?
No.
Not
The
yes or no,
question is
it's
should
now
the
or later.
no, 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 no. It's the question. There's two questions. The first question is should the Inferno be added to old school RuneScape? This is actively similar to the Fight Cave, offering waves of monsters. That's the first question. The second one is should a new best in slot melee cape be given as a reward for defeating God damn it, I can't say it. Tazkal Zuck. And those are the only two questions. That's what we're voting on. Now, there's below that there's a section that says when can we expect to see the Inferno in old school, and they talk about how initially like planned to release it around mid February, but they're gonna listen to our feedback on if they should have released it in mid February or if they should release it next year in January and have it a more quality update. And my thing is, I'm sure they'll listen to the community because the community seems for the release in next January in a year for a quality update. But I mean, you never know. Like they could just decide, well, we really want this update now, and power through it basically.
Yeah, if the investors completely take over Jagex, like that'd be a retarded move for them to do that. Like completely go against what your player base wants just so you can release new content that you think they want. Like that's so stupid. That's completely backwards thinking.
Yeah,
So
but
I
they've
don't
done
think they're
it
gonna
like
do
they've
that.
done that before. They forced content. I mean, they did it with Zaya. Like Zaya was a huge release. I'm pretty sure a lot of people before the release were like, "You guys should really slow down and just like take your time on this update because it's huge," and they didn't. And Zaya failed miserably. So when we're speaking about Zaya, I mean, it didn't fail miserably. I'm sorry. It's overall it's a pretty good update. It's just like there's some things like that need to be fixed on the continent, but hopefully
Yeah,
they
they
looked
probably
at Zaya
realized
and they
that,
saw,
and now they're
yeah,
asking
exactly,
us.
they probably realized it, yeah, yeah, yeah. So they probably realized it and they're like, okay, we should listen to the community because it's like it is their game, they enjoy it, and they, I mean, they kind of know what they want basically. So hopefully they did basically learn from Zaya, and hopefully moving forward they're gonna do, if they make an update, they're gonna make it super quality, and kind of ignore quantity necessarily. So, anyways, to wrap it up, I'm gonna vote yes, and I really do hope they listen to the community. I'm sure they will. They seem, they seem like they will. So, do you have any like criticisms of the melee cape, or would you rather see the mage and range? Did I ask you about the mage and range cape, or no? Not yet.
You asked if I'd like to see them in the caves and stuff, but I'm glad they aren't in there yet. About it.
Yeah, fair enough.
Anything
Um,
else you don't want to expand on?
I don't know. I hope they do kind of release some new mage and range capes, because again, like I hate a bunch of melee updates. I don't know, it just kind of bothers me. So hopefully, like the mage and range capes might come from like raids or something. That'll be pretty cool. And then, did you have any criticism of the cape? I didn't. Like, I think it's a fine cape. I don't see
No.
any issue with it.
As long as it's
So
hard to
moving.
get and not everybody's getting it.
Yeah, 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 exactly. Um, yeah, I'm sure it'll be pretty hard. I'm sure they'll, especially if they have a year to release it. Like they have plenty of time to adjust the
Yeah.
content. So, but moving forward, we're gonna talk about the Dragon Warhammer release. They released a new map that shows where the shamans are gonna be at, or shamans. And have you seen the map?
No, you didn't link it to me.
Rip. Basically, to the west side of the pathway to Lova King, in that little canyon area, there's going to be the shamans. So, like right across from where you enter the Lizard Man Canyon, there's going to be another entrance for the shamans. So, it's pretty. I don't know. Like, it just seems weird. Again, like there's just these random like large lizards that are there, for no reason. Like they don't come from anywhere. They're just there. It's the same thing I had the same issue that I had with lizard men, because they're just there. They don't come from anywhere. They just
Lazy
appear there in this
content.
canyon. Yeah, exactly. So, um, I was wondering, do you think they should add an area under the walkway between the lizard pits? So basically, you have like it'd be like the gay idea that was on Reddit basically. So they're coming, like all these lizard men are coming from the west to the east, and it would make it feel more, it'll give it character basically. Do you think they should do that?
Uh, at this point, can they do that? Like, I don't know if they can even do that at this point, but I guess I don't know. That's I don't think they should do it honestly. Like it's already released. You can't just read part of the map.
Well, they don't have to do much. All they have to do is take out the bottom part of the walkway. Like, so you have like the walkway, and then they would take out a little bit of it from below, and then create like a gate looking thing. And then not only that, but um, maybe in the future when they expand Zaya, because they're going to expand Zaya obviously to the west. So when they expand Zaya, maybe open up kind of like show an area where the lizard men are actually coming from. Because again, like it's super lazy. It doesn't give it any character. It doesn't really make sense. It just, I don't know, it kind of bothers me. But I'm sure they can do it if they wanted to. I don't think it would be a massive job, would it?
I don't know. Like I probably not. Like, but you know how long it takes them to do some random stuff. And sometimes it doesn't take them long at all. Like to make a whole new boss at the Dragon Warhammer drop, it took them a week. But I don't know. I don't know how Jagex
Speaking
operates.
of that, Speaking of that, let's actually discuss the boss because there was some theories on Reddit that the lizardmen, firstly, they're the size of TDs, which is completely true. They kind of look like a TD, like they're a lizard, obviously, but like the size wise, they look like a tormented demon. And basically, there's the rocks
Yeah.
everywhere, and it kind of looks like the cave where you fought tormented demons in pre-EOC. So, do you think the lizardmen, the reason they got it out so fast is because it's literally just a tormented demon in a lizard suit?
Feel like it could be a possibility. They just reskinned a tormented demon, use the same exact mechanics. That'd be kind of cool, but I don't know.
Lazy content. I'm joking. I actually wouldn't mind really because I never got to experience TDs pre-EOC. So if I actually got to experience a version of them at least in old school, I'm completely fine with that. Like it's like Next, for example. I never got to experience Next. Period. Like I've never done Next before. If a boss came out and it was a fairy that was, it was like a reskin Next that was a fairy, I'd be completely fine with that. That would be awesome. I'd love to experience old content that I never got to because I wasn't good. Like I had like a really bad account. So, um, I think it's definitely like a kind of lazy way to implement um, content, but at the same time, the community seems to completely want a tormented demon boss, so I don't have any issue with it really.
Another thing to think about though is they don't like adding RS3 things, so that might be something to consider about that theory.
But do they though? Like, our next question is actually that it was the one off YouTube, and he said, the Dragon Warhammer is pretty much a Statius's Warhammer, which got him thinking, what if it was untradeable and or degradable? Like, would that be a positive or a negative thing for the Dragon Warhammer? Um, but like, if you do look at it, like the Dragon Warhammer is literally a Statius Warhammer, which is RS3 content, and like I
With a nerf
remember
spec.
yeah, but I remember like a few years ago, Jagex was like, "We don't want a Statius Warhammer. We want to like go our own way with content." And then they end up pretty much releasing
Yeah,
one in
no,
the form of the
that's
Dragon Warhammer.
that's why I can't say that I know what they're gonna do, or I can give them any faith in like expanding the lizards or something like that. Because I don't even know what the fuck they're thinking half the time. They just do random shit that goes against what they say, and randomly think of new ideas that come out of nowhere. So hard to really follow them.
Yeah, fair enough. My personal belief is that it's probably going to be a tormented demon. It might have like some new mechanics or something, but I feel like it's going to be a tormented demon for the most part, which again, that's fine. I mean, I'll probably watch a few guides tonight from like pre-EOC just to make sure I'm ready for them tomorrow. Even though tomorrow they'll probably be just like masses basically because the whole area is multi, but yeah, I'll probably do that just to make sure I'm like fully prepared for the boss or whatever it is. It's not really I wouldn't consider it a boss, I guess. It doesn't it's like a I don't know what would you call it? It's not a boss, is it?
Demi boss. That's
Demi
what they call them.
boss. But yeah, so I'm fine with it if it is a tormented demon. If it's not, that's even better. I think new content's pretty cool.
But they also said it's gonna have an
S-
acid attack. That's not like tormented demons at
Um,
all, and you have to wear
that's
an
not
armor.
true. That's not true. Apparently, somebody on Reddit said that one of the magic attacks or something from Tormented Demons is similar to the acid attack. Do you know anything about that?
No, it's not. You would just have to pray flick it and use a dark light to take its shield down, but that's not like acid spraying or whatever. You didn't have to wear the armor the
Well,
whole time. You just had to hit it with a dark light.
yeah. Um, I mean that is like one of the things like because torment. I mean, okay. Basically,
So it
picture
can't be
doing
exactly
Tormented
the same.
Demons. Yeah, picture doing Tormented Demons in what like myth armor I think it is, or was it Addy? I don't remember what the stats are on the gear, but um, basically like picture doing tormented demons like in lesser gear, plus you don't have like a unicorn, you don't have like chaotics. Would it actually be possible? Like that sounds like a pretty hard boss.
Yeah, it'd be possible. You can really kill him with anything, honestly. It's just prayer flicking.
Fair enough. um so moving forward to the Dragon Warhammer, the guy's question and concern on if it should be untradeable or degradable. I think absolutely no for untradeable. I think that's really stupid to restrict, especially like a dragon weapon, to make it untradeable. It's just
Yeah.
it doesn't feel right. And then degradable. Um, I feel like it'll keep its value. If he wants it degradable so that it makes it more expensive, I think it's going to be an expensive weapon regardless because not only is it a basically a new best spec weapon for some areas, it's also going to be used for like pures, like 60 attack pures are going to use it for PvP probably. So I don't think it needs to be degradable. Because it's not gonna. I don't know. I think punishing someone for making it degradable and punishing someone for using it's kind of it just seems weird, especially as a dragon weapon, really.
Doesn't fit the theme. It doesn't fit the theme of dragon weapons. None of them are like actually some of them are untradeable. I bet. Is there one actually? There's quest requirements, but I don't know if there's any untradeable dragon weapons. I don't think so
No, they're all
actually.
tradable. Yeah, they're all
No.
tradable as far as I'm
Yeah.
aware.
I was thinking of Crystal Halberd actually, but yeah, none of them are untradeable and none of them degrade, so it'd be kind of stupid. Like, even declaws didn't degrade.
Yeah. Um. So, what are we doing now? I guess Zaya agility courses was somebody a question that the guy had asked. What are our thoughts on it? I just feel like agility doesn't need any more courses. I feel like if we did put any more courses in agility, it would just kind of uh, unless it had like a
Redundant.
specific purpose. Yeah, unless it had a specific purpose, I don't think an agility course would really do well there for just like XP based basically. If it had a reward, then I wouldn't mind, but it just depends on what that reward is and if it fits its own, niche or whatever. So,
So kind of like not a barbarian, Brimhaven agility course with actually legitimate rewards instead of a pirate hook. What kind of rewards did it offer?
honestly, now that I'm thinking about it, it could be a Zaya agility course where you have to like get so many points or something to recolor your graceful, you know what I mean? So on top of your 100% favor, you have to get so many points or score or whatever within this specific Zaya agility course. That wouldn't be too bad, honestly.
Yeah, I guess. I don't know. It'd have to be on every different house though, or maybe it could just be in the middle or something. Like I don't know. It's hard to design content when they already like made the continent without the content in it. Pretty full as it is, but it's full of nothing.
Yeah, they could definitely. I mean, I'm sure they could probably work it out somehow, but um, regardless, I think if there was a Zaya agility course, pretty much it would have to have a specific reward. And other than like the graceful recolors from Zaya, I don't see really an immediate purpose to having an agility course there, basically. So
Maybe some shortcuts like that, but not the course.
yeah, shortcuts wouldn't be bad. It would add again like character, like dungeons and I stole that off you, but dungeons and like what else did you say?
Advances between the cities and other just stuff that's not a city.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, so I think again, like I know we've talked about this probably a bunch of times, but they should really give Zaya more character, and hopefully what they do is they add when they push back Zaya Batch 3, which is perfectly fine. Hopefully during this year they basically just constantly add on to Zaya, um, and just add a bunch of really like what's the word I'm looking for? Basically just environment like give the continent character over the period of this year would be very nice.
Give it an engaging environment instead of just random stuff that you can't even do anything with, but it's already taking up the environment. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like, you can't
like
engage with
for
anything.
yeah, like the woods, like you mentioned before, the woods, the well, sorry, it's not even woods. It's that's a complete overstretch. It's literally just a strip of trees that blocks your path, so you have to walk around them. Like that's so really like that's so lazy. Come on, you guys can do better than that.
Yeah, it's like that could open up like some kind of adventuring thing where you can walk through the forest and kill things, even if it is really like meaningless content. At least it's something. It's not just a wall of trees blocking you. That's really unoriginal. I mean, not unoriginal, but unthought provoking, I guess.
Yeah, like even as you said, like it doesn't have to be like a best in slot. It doesn't have to be a dragon warhammer that entices us to go out and explore Zaya. Like we can just go out in the woods, like you said, and there has to be like new species of animals over there. Like there's like that's another thing too. Like there's nothing really new about this area. It's just that there's new families, but people are different no matter where you are across the globe. So that's a given, which is a good thing that they did that. But at the same time, you still have like creatures and monsters and stuff like that that change based on the area you're at. And they did lizard men. So fair enough to them, but at the same time, like that's the only thing they really did, other than the people. Like there's nothing else that's new
Uh,
about the area. It's just a big empty area with new characters basically. But while we're on the topic of like kind of a little bit of suggestions for Zaya, if I kind of like pick this question out, if you were in charge of Zaya, what would you add or change? The guy actually asked this, but um, let's just pick like three things each to keep it short, because there's a bunch of things I would probably change. But if you had to pick like three specific things about Zaya that you would like that you wanted to change, what would they be?
uh, hard to do things that are like specific things that don't really tie into other things on Zaya. But uh,
Do you
no,
need to think about
honestly,
it for a
like
second?
I guess like what's a good thing honestly they could do that's really standalone. Like oh, this makes it way better that you did this. Like can't really think of anything like that.
All right, so my three things. The first thing is address House Piscarius because it's kind of empty right now, and it just like it's a horrible house in
How do you
general.
address
Like
it
they
though?
have like well no. I don't know. Give it like some transport or something to make it
Yeah,
feel
that's what I'm
alive.
saying. Like
Like
I don't know what the fuck
as I
to
said,
do.
like okay. For example, if you go to Piscarius and you walk around, there's like two NPCs that are copy and pasted all over the freaking place. It's horrible. It makes no sense. It feels unnatural. The dialogue is all the same for them pretty much, except for the pirates. They make like different jokes occasionally if you talk to them enough. Um, but that's like one of the things. And then like not only that, but the content itself. It has the fishing and then it has the thieving activity. The thieving activity needs to be addressed, and then I think the environment looks pretty freaking great. Honestly, I think it looks really cool. Um, but just spice the area up a little bit because you have like, for example, you have Arceus. Arceus is probably like the most popular house right now. Well, Shazian might be right now, but Arceus was the most popular house because of the rune crafting method. It did change the skill at its core, which I kind of have like a gripe about. But at the same time, people enjoyed it. Like I think that's a good thing. If people enjoy content, then fair enough to them. If a majority of people enjoy content, that's fine. Um, but like yeah, you had Arceus with like rune crafting, and that was like everyone was flocking to that. Like everyone wanted to do that. Not many people want to go to Piscarius. Like there's not much of a reason to. Do you know what I mean? So I don't know
Yeah, yeah, I know
specifically
what you
what they
mean,
could
but
add.
fishing and thing are already so fleshed out. Like, what else can you really do to them that doesn't devalue other things? Like, fishing can't give it a higher healing food. I guess you can, like, kind of go between, like, 16 and 20 HP, because there's not really much right there. But thieving, you can't really expand the XP rates because they're already insanely high for, like, two activities. So, I don't know what you can really do. Thieving, I guess you can
Well, the
get more
thing
money
is,
from it, but you can't do
sorry,
that with
sorry to
fishing.
interrupt you. Yeah, I understand what you're saying. Like you're basically saying that content is filled. That's what you're saying. Content is filled in fishing and thieving, which is why you can't really add anything to it. But if you think about it, mining was filled before Zaya. Like, sorry, it wasn't filled by any means, but it had its like places. Um, hold on one second. Sorry about that. I had somebody come in my room. Um, But like you had just really quickly, mining wasn't filled out, but it had its like places, and blast mining came around through Zaya, which is awesome. I think it's a really cool update because it takes the best of kind of like both worlds. Like you have like a really high XP method, but then at the same time you still make a bunch of money off of it, and it's still high activity. Like it's still basically, in my opinion, it's like quarry mining pretty much. um, so you have like quarry mining right now, which can get like, I think they people have been doing it and you get like 120k XP an hour or something crazy. And then you have like blast mining, which is like a nice median
You're
between
missing the point,
um,
mate.
quarry and motherlode mine. So they could easily do that with fishing or thieving, is what I'm saying. They could easily fill out. They don't have
They
to. They
can't.
don't have to. How could they not? Okay, right now, if you think about it, what do you have in thieving? Basically, you have pyramid plunder
Listen,
for the majority of
listen to me tell
levels.
you. What can you do? Like, you can give thieving something that will make you money, but it's already like super click intensive and already really high XP. So if you're gonna go do the thing that makes you money, it has to be really high XP and make you money. So they're just gonna do that instead of everything else. Like, you see how that's a problem. And then with fishing, you can't really give a high level fish that's gonna be really expensive unless you're gonna be fishing for like gems or some shit. Like, you see how it's like kind of hard to balance fish because people have to buy them for food, and if it's not a good food to buy, they aren't going to use them. Like, it's kind of hard to balance that stuff, and the XP per
Hmm.
hour is really low. You can't really put too much in there because they're all really close to each other. Value other things. Like, there's so much to think about when you have to add things to skills.
Right, but what I'm saying is Zaya was made on the premise that it would introduce new skilling methods that were basically alternatives to current ones, with just like a little bit of something changed. So, while blast mining fits like its own niche technically, they could easily make like a fishing activity, which is maybe high activity, high like activity rate or whatever. Like you're moving a lot or something. I don't know. Say you go out on a boat and you go
That's
deep
going to
sea
devalue
fishing and you
barbarian fishing.
no, 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 no. What I'm saying is that barbarian fishing is high clicking as it is, and it's high XP. All right, guys, sorry about that. We had some disruptions in our life. Both of us did at the same time. So, um, moving back to what we were talking about before, my thing was they don't basically they made Zaya to have alternative training methods, and you don't have to necessarily have a new fishing method that's better than barbarian fishing, but at the same time it can still be pretty good XP, like better XP than like monkfish, because really when you look at fishing, what XP is there? There's like monkfish, and then there's like barbarian fishing, I guess. There's it's really low XP, really high XP, really low effort AFK, and then it's like really high effort, not AFK at all, and they could easily play something. Obviously, it would be more near barbarian fishing, but it would be high activity. Like again, you go out on like a boat, you go deep sea fishing, you have to click a bunch. You don't get the best XP in the game, but it's still an alternative way to train fishing that's more engaging than just sitting there doing barbarian fishing, basically.
So,
That was my
buff, buff fishing trawler.
I mean, they could if they wanted to, I guess, but it doesn't have to be like fishing trawler. Like they could easily they had there has to be something they can add that is that is what I'm basically talking about. That's high activity, but not necessarily best XP in the game, but it's still pretty good. It's a good alternative to barbarian fishing if you want to actually have fun training fishing and getting good XP. That's my idea
Yeah,
behind
but
it. Same
that's
thing with
hard to balance without devaluing things.
I mean, I kind of see what you're saying because like they did it with rune crafting. They were trying to make a new version of rune crafting, but in doing that, they changed
Exactly.
fundamentally how you train that skill. So I can kind of see where you're coming from with that. But I think if the community and the mods and everybody, because fishing, if you think about it, it's not like a rune crafting and you have like construction stuff that like prestigious skills. They've always been trained a certain way, and to change that is to fundamentally change how you play old school RuneScape, and that feels weird to a lot of people. I think that's like the biggest gripe that a lot of people have with Zaya rune crafting right now, is that it just kind of feels weird. Um, but fishing, if you look at it, like if they were to just who cares? Like they plop fishing trawler in Piscarilius basically, and it's high XP, but it's high activity, and maybe there's some like AFK moments a little bit, but not really. Like, would people actually care about a skill like fishing if that was to happen?
I don't know. Probably not. But, like, hard to say because it's really hard to say, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you that it's hard to balance, but at the same time, I think if they tried hard enough, they could easily implement something that didn't piss off too many people, but at the same time was still engaging
There's a
content
lot
and
more
was still
skills that need it
something
more than
that was an
fishing and
alternative.
thieving.
Right, right, all right. But at the same time, fishing and thieving is a house within Zaya, whether you want it like that or not. So, unless you want to add something else to Piscarius, we kind of have to work with what the content. Basically, what you said earlier is that it's hard to work. It's hard to add content to this continent when the continent is already built. So you can't go back and be like, oh well, Piscarius actually turns out that they're involved in like another skill. You know what
Yeah,
I mean? So it's really it sucks. It really does suck because, in my opinion, if Jagex would have just pretty much just put just a stop to trying to rush out Zaya because of like the hype and everything, and they would have spoken to the community about what should have been where and how it should have been, and given us like full details of Zaya before its release. In a way, the continent might have been a little bit more boring. Not boring, but not as adventuresome. But if you think about it, if they added dungeons, random dungeons, as we said earlier, it doesn't have to be like really big things. Like it can just be like a new NPC monster, whatever, something that you kill, and it doesn't give you much, but it's just like kind of cool to look at it and kill it basically, and explore the area. Um, that
yeah.
would have been what was
A
would have been
lower
good
level could do
for.
it.
Yeah, yeah. So it would have been good for basically like the immersion into Zaya, but at the same time, when Zaya came out, we didn't have houses like Piscarius, which are just really dry because I guess they were scared to touch fishing, or they just didn't want to put forth the effort, or they didn't have time. I think that was like the biggest issue with the release of Zaya is that they didn't have time.
Yeah, but looking back on the past, everything's 2020, I guess.
Yeah, fair enough. But anyway, so we were talking about the three things we would change with Zaya. I think we've gotten into enough things that we would change with Zaya, so I don't think we need to really focus on that anymore. Do you have anything else that you would like kind of add, like even just generally speaking to Zaya, or have we pretty much touched on all of it?
Feel like I pretty much touched on all of it. Maybe some mini games or something, just more than what they already have, like actually community involving mini games of by yourself or something. But yeah, there's a lot of things we could change.
Fair enough. Another question that was asked by one of the viewers was, "What's your opinion on having the sailing skill?" Because the JMods did mention that they're going to repull it sometime later this year. Looking at it, they might not because of the pushback of Zaya Batch 3. So not too sure, but do you want to see sailing as a skill in old school, or what's your stance on it?
Yeah, I'd like to see it. It was a better idea than Zaya, in my opinion.
Did you vote yes to the pull originally?
Yeah. Well, I don't know if it's
Nice.
originally,
Okay.
but I voted for pretty much one of them.
Yeah, fair enough. I voted no for it. I don't. It's one of those things like old school kind of has its thing going, and if they were to add a new skill, it kind of feels weird. I think sailing would be amazing, like freaking awesome as like a distraction and diversion, basically. But I think as a skill, it kind of seems like it seems weird, especially the way
Dungeoneering
they
was
pitched
great.
it originally. Yeah, but even if dungeoneering wasn't a skill, I think it could have been a huge success. Like, because you have people like think about it this way: you have people that on RS3 still train dungeoneering past 200 mil, and it's not because they want to train the skill; it's because they enjoy the activity. It's not necessarily that it's not the skill that it's not the fact that dungeoneering is a skill that makes it a success. It's the
Can
fact that
skills not be
dungeoneering is
fun?
just a well, no, they can be fun, but I'm saying like dungeoneering could have been an activity and been fun. Like I kind of see what you're saying, but um, in my opinion, dungeoneering was not a success because it was a skill. Like it wasn't directly a success because it was a skill, okay? But it was a success because
I'm not saying
dungeoneering at
that.
its core was awesome. Like it was just an awesome thing to do in RuneScape, regardless if it was a skill. That's what I'm saying about sailing. Like I don't think sailing needs to come in as a skill. I think sailing can just come in as a distraction and diversion activity, and people will constantly
But
do
it's
it. I
so
mean, like it's
expansive. You can't just have a distraction and diversion with that many like offshoots to it. That's why dungeoneering wasn't a distraction diversion because it was so huge.
so you're saying basically making it a skill will give it some form of an order, like an organization basically to it.
Yeah, like there's too much content for it to just come from a mini game, all of it. Like that doesn't make sense. It'd be too big of a mini game that takes up too much of the game. Like too much of the game revolves around that mini game for it just to be a mini game. It doesn't work like that, I don't think. It'd be a skill if it's much of the game going around it, my opinion.
I kind of see what you're saying. I mean, you make a pretty valid point. So I do see what you're saying about it will give it like a form of an order. Because if you did think, if you thought about it, like, you go to the Dungeoneering guide, for example, and it kind of tells you what you can do, when you can do it, stuff like that. But how would they do that for sailing if they didn't have like a skill guide, basically? Like, I don't know. I don't
Yeah,
think
it'd be
that would work
insane.
because you would have. Yeah, exactly. So, um, I can kind of see what you're saying, but at the same time, it still feels weird to me to have a new skill in old school. I don't know why. I don't know. I don't. It just feels weird. Yeah, I don't know.
Like people think the same thing with a new continent, but it's whatever you adapt to the most, I guess. They're different.
Yeah, fair enough. So if they repull it, I'll have to reserve my judgment until because they're gonna take a bunch of feedback and give us a bunch of more information or whatever and change a bunch of stuff. So if I see it and I'm like, you know what, this looks like it could be pretty decent, I might vote yes for it this time because I did vote no for it last time just because I wasn't comfortable with like a new skill. Um, but then again, like if you think about it, how many people? Okay, think about it this way: how many people are going to be comfortable with Jagex releasing a new skill when they just released a new continent and it's lacking a lot of stuff? Like how do you think the community is going to react to that? Honestly,
Always reacted to it. Like that's why they voted no because they don't trust Jagex. Like, you know what I mean?
yeah. Um, I think before they repull sailing, if they were to flesh out Zaya a bunch more, they would get a crap load more support on sailing. And also, I think if they don't rush sailing, and they kind of like really work it out, which I guess if it's a skill they kind of have to. Like they can't really rush a skill
Yeah,
because
yeah.
that you would have like huge gaps in the content. So I think keeping it as a skill would be a pretty good idea to keep it organized. Like you make a pretty good point there. So I think if they should focus on kind of like adding a bunch of stuff to Zaya, which it sounds like again it sounds like they're gonna do it anyways. So we kind of just have to see like take it by month this year because this year it sounds like the J mods are kind of realizing like big updates are cool, but at the same time they have to be quality. Like they can't just be quantity over quality. So
Yeah.
I guess we'll just take it by month this year and kind of follow it along and see how it goes. And hopefully the J mods, again they learn from their past and from Zaya really, and kind of flesh that out and get more support from sailing that way. Because I mean, if for me personally, as someone who's not comfortable with their new skill, it just feels weird. I like the new continent. If they were to take Zaya and flesh it out and add more stuff, they would get my vote on sailing. Because let's be honest, the JMods want sailing so bad. Like they push it so hard that it's almost ridiculous. Um, but so, they would get my vote for sailing if they did that. But
Because
for the
everybody
new,
loved Dungeoneering, and it's like the same thing as Dungeoneering.
well, I don't know. Like I don't think the JMods love it because it's like dungeoneering necessarily. I think the JMods just like it
Like the
because
concept, like there's so much you can do with it. It's not just a static like skill. Like it's not like fishing where you have to go fish. It's like you can do so much with it.
yeah, yeah, and I think that's why they like it because it gives them like a bunch of stuff that they can add to the skill that they've wanted to add previously or something that they just couldn't really like figure out how to
Exactly.
add it. And like now they can add it, and I completely understand like why the JMods like it. I just think like some of the ways they push it or whatever. Like for example, when you talk to Vios, I think his name is on Zaya, he's like, or when you're going to Zaya, he's like, oh, if sailing was around or whatever he says, like you could have
Yeah,
went to
yeah.
Zaya yourself or some crap. So I think it's just a little bit of banter, but at the same time, like they're probably being a little bit serious too, like because they really do like sailing, like they want it so bad.
Yeah.
But anyway, so that's how they would get my vote as someone who's not comfortable with a new skill, and I guess not comfortable with a big release in general from them. So we'll take it by we'll see what happens at towards the end of the year, and we'll just kind of take it how it goes and vote based on that because I
Play
can't
it by
really
ear.
say right now. Yeah, I can't say right now like what's gonna happen in the future. So, um, but anyways, so the next thing is it was a Reddit idea, and it was the spectral blocking prayer sap from Zamorak God Wars Dungeon. I think it's a pretty cool idea. It does it at Cerberus technically right now, so why not just make it a global thing? So wherever there's a prayer drain, you know, the spectral basically negates that a little bit or something. I think Corp does it too. I don't see why not. Like they kind of already pushed spectral, as you said earlier. Like they forced it into its own area, but they didn't make it global. So it just makes sense to make it global, in my opinion. Like, do you think they should?
Yeah, I feel like that'd be a good idea if they're gonna do it for Cerberus and other things actually have that effect, and it won't be completely game breaking to add it, like make it so it stops those effects. I think they should do it. Like, what other things really smite you besides Cerberus and whatever Sammy? Does Venenatis smite you? I think it might.
I think it does. Maybe. Yeah, I think it does. And then I really don't know. I didn't think about that one too much, to be honest. I mean, but
But yeah, if
regardless,
there's
like
no
even if it
overpowered
is,
uses,
sorry, what were you saying?
I said yeah, but as long as there's no overpowered uses, I think that would be a good idea, a good niche for the Spectral Spirit Shield, other than just being mage defense.
Yeah, I think it's a really cool idea, and even if like as I was saying, even if it is only like three bosses right now that have that effect, they could easily add that effect in the future to other bosses. So maybe like in raids, for example, maybe when you're fighting the boss, there's a phase of it where you're getting your prayer drain constantly, so you would bring like a spectral switch. I think that would be perfectly fine. I don't have really an issue with that at all. I think it's
Yeah,
cool to
but you also don't want to
take
lock.
gear.
You don't want to lock this kind of content behind really rare stuff like Spectral Spirit Shields. Like you don't want to
Well,
have to spend 100 mil to kill a boss if it does go up to 100 mil because it's so good. Like you know what I mean? You don't want to completely gate away
yeah,
content to people.
but if you look at it, Spectral was like what, like 30 mil before Cerberus, or actually it's probably cheaper than that. I think it was like 25 maybe at its lowest, and then Cerberus came around. It's like sitting at 50, pretty nice right now. So, I think because you have like the Ellie, which is like 800, 700 mil or so, and then you have like the Arcane, which is like 80, I think, or maybe 90ish right now, and it has like its use. And I think Spectral getting a little bit of a bump because it has like a legitimate use isn't really an issue. Especially if you think about it this way, with the new Warhammer, Corp is going to be a lot more people are going to be doing Corp, and like if you look at the prices of the Zamorak Hosta and Zamorak and Spear right now, they've skyrocketed because of the hype around the Dragon Warhammer. So I think, in fear of a devaluation of the Spirit Shields, or if it does happen in the long run, I think giving it a Spectral like its own personal use would be a good thing to keep its value.
Yeah, it's just definitely not good enough right now, and the only really use it has is Cerberus, so it definitely needs a buff. I just don't want to gate content behind really expensive things. Use.
Right. Well, I mean, if you think about it, like Cerberus, I guess it's not gated behind a spectral shield. Like we can argue that because it kind of is, but you can
It
still
kind of
use
sucks dick.
Cerberus
It kind
without
of
it.
sucks dick
I
without
know,
it.
I know, I know. Yeah, 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 I know. Uh, it really does. It's so bad. But I mean, I think they could balance it easily. Like maybe it just reduces it by a bit, but because it's a raid and you're there long term, maybe it's enough to that justify saving that one inventory space. You know what I mean? So like if you don't bring it, you use like three extra prayer pots, for
Yeah.
example. So if you do bring it, then you're saving supplies that way. So I think it could be pretty easily balanced. Because it's a raid, like a long-term dungeon, if they do decide to add it to that piece of content specifically. Other than that, just one thing I wanted to note was that Sig got his first sigil today on an Iron Man account. He got a spectral at like 140 something KC, I think. I thought that was pretty cool. I just want to throw it in here because that's like, I don't know, it's pretty awesome, especially because Dragon Warhammer isn't out, and kills for Iron Man take like 20 minutes without fishing sharks and crap prior. Well, I guess you would kill Zora, but the point still stands that it's a pretty incredible accomplishment. Like, it's pretty awesome. I just was, it was awesome. I thought it was really cool, so I
Yeah.
wanted to mention it. Um,
Yeah. Props to Sig for
but
getting the first sigil.
Sig got the first sigil. Gains. Other than that, though, I just wanted to discuss maybe some like series ideas. So, kind of just bouncing stuff off of you, and I guess because the viewers are listening to it, bouncing it off of them. The first thing is I had an idea of a high level skilling, high ping series, which is basically like, as I'm sure most people know by now, I have satellite internet and I get like 800 ping, if not worse. Like, I did a video yesterday and I tested all my pings and one of them was 2000. Like, it was absolutely crazy. So I think it would be hilarious. Like, it would just be a funny thing really to do, to make a series where I'm like doing like high level skilling, so like three tick woodcutting for example, but I have high ping, so kind of see like how that actually affects the gameplay, like how, because I don't know, like I've
Try
never
to
really
do
tried to
Sarah
do.
with like the three prayer flicks.
I think, okay, this is my thing. I think it is possible. I think it is possible because of the fact that for Sarah, for example, like you have, um, like basically you can just, you would have to push back your rotations like a bit if you have like 1k ping, but I think it's still possible.
That's
That's like the
so much to
enjoyment of it
think
though, is
about.
like, I know that's what I'm saying though, but like is it really that hard, or just would I just have to push back my, I would basically just have to anticipate things like a second or two before they actually happen. um it would be an interesting
Which you're
series and
already
I think it
doing.
would be really cool. Well, yeah, but at the same time, like when it comes to ticks, like three tick woodcutting, like right now, I drop like an inventory of logs, and they don't actually all drop until a second or so after I actually click on them to drop. Like, it's horrible. But when it comes to
Yeah.
three tick skilling, like basically what I'm saying is like, do ticks actually, like, does your ping make it, a real difference on your ticks, or can you basically anticipate something enough to that to where you can still get like 130k
So you
woodcutting
don't
XP an
lose XP
hour?
per hour.
Yeah, exactly. So, I don't know. I thought it would be a pretty cool idea. And as you said, like, high level PVM high ping would be a good series as well. So I was just thought it was a really cool thing that I could do, because it sounds fun. It really does, to kind of like basically teach myself to play on really high ping efficiently. It would suck if I moved, but because I would be doing
Yeah.
everything backwards basically. But I don't know. It just sounds pretty cool to do. And then other than that, like the only idea that I had written down was duo Iron Man mode, because they talked about it on the Q&A recently, and Ash basically said it's probably not feasible right now. So it's everyone loves it. Like, everyone on the team loves it. They think it's an awesome idea, but it's just that the code basically, like the engine, wouldn't support it. But I think if it ever does come out, like me and you got to get on that, because that would be so much fun, dude. That would be so
Yeah,
much fun.
definitely. Maybe even just dead man mode, Seasons, and get onto something like that.
I don't know. Like, can I get into dead man mode? Like, I tried before, but I just like, I don't know. I think it's because of my, I don't know, man. I think it might be because like my ping kind of turns me off the PKing basically. Um, because like even when I go and mess around in Edge, which I do very rarely, it sucks really freaking bad. Like, do you remember when I killed that guy with the anchor and crap for like full the rocks? Were you
Yeah.
there? You were there, right?
That's, yeah, yeah, yeah.
So, like things like that, like that was completely pure luck because of the fact that I have like 1,000 ping. There's no way anybody should have been able to do that. Specifically, anybody with 1k ping. Like, there's just no way. That was completely pure luck. And that's like the thing that sucks about PKing, is I can't really time things properly. I guess that could be a freaking another series, is PKing high ping. Like, just have like
Yeah.
a whole high ping series
High
basically
risk
where I,
PKing. High risk breeding at Mage Bank with 2k ping.
high
That'd be good
risk
shit.
ping. Hold on. The title would be high risk ping King. Just so
Oh.
banter, dude. Are you kidding me? You didn't like the joke. I'm actually kind of offended now. I'm actually kind of offended.
High risk ping Kang. No, it's horrible.
Okay, okay, okay.
Hard to even
How about
say.
all right? How about high risk P, and then you have parentheses with ing, and then you have another king afterwards. So it would basically say high risk PKing, but you would see ping inside. Do you see what I'm saying?
It's a good series, but the name's a work in progress, so keep you updated.
No, but I think because no, I think that would be an awesome series because I feel like nobody's done that before. Nobody's probably thought about it. Like they might have maybe thought about it, but they haven't like put forth
Playing
the
with
effort to
horrible
actually do
ping.
it. Basically. So I don't know. I think that would be a really cool series. I might just get started on that. Like I should just start doing it tonight. Like just start
That's
free
your
tick
niche,
woodcutting
bro. Your
basically.
niche.
That's my niche. Exactly. Like that would give me so many views, and then I'd be like, okay, this is what I do. I do this, and I do podcast. There we go. That's what I do. Do you have any other series ideas though? Like I can't really, like any that nobody's really done before.
Not off the top of my head.
That's perfectly fine because it has to sound interesting before I even think about doing it. So I think that's pretty much it for the podcast. Do you have anything else we should like anything that you wanted to discuss or whatever? You think it's pretty good? We're at an hour right now, so I think pretty good to call it.
Uh, yeah. There's no pressing issues except the immigrants. Nah, let's just end
What?
it.
What?
I said there's no pressing issues except the immigrants. Europe, but no.
I don't. Is that okay?
I
Okay,
was,
it's a joke. Okay, okay, it's a joke.
yeah,
I didn't
it's
understand what you're
banter.
saying.
It's
Like
just banter.
it's just a prank. Anyways, all right, guys. Well, I guess we'll call it there, and I will. I don't know. I might see you guys later tonight with another with another video, high level skilling, high ping. See what we can do with that. But I'll be up tomorrow morning for the Dragon Warhammer release, so hopefully it would be pretty cool to get a drop, and I'll make sure to hopefully make some at least a rough guide video for you guys tomorrow morning before I leave for school and work. And if not, then it'll probably be out at night. But good luck to everybody that goes for the Dragon Warhammer, and I will catch you guys with another video